All right. There we go. There we go. I was just making sure we were live. Okay, there we go. We got a volume up here. Seems as though we're doing all right here today. Yo, 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 yo. All right. I'm going to make sure it's up close to my mouth because sometimes I know I do talk quite softly, but that is okay. I want to recap what was the first week of the NFL and what was week 2 of college football. I mean, college football, let's start off with that first here. We had some upsets. Obviously, we had Appalachian State upsetting Texas A&M. Texas A&M at the time was ranked number 6, playing at home, Kyle Field. He took an L to Appalachian State. Appalachian State is no secret to college football success. One of their other biggest upsets in their school history was against the Michigan Wolverines. So then we had the Marshall. We are Marshall, you know, that team, that lost tragically their whole team basically, except for a couple of players, and so they came out and got the biggest upset of their season. They're in the Sun Belt Conference, and they got a win. Appalachian State is also in that Sun Belt Conference, so both teams got big upsets. But not only did two teams in that conference get upsets, we had a third team, and that third team was Georgia Southern, taking it to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and they decided to tell Scott Frost, "Yeah, you can go frost yourself and get out of here and get out of town." I mean, Scott Frost has a lot of history with the Cornhuskers, but was not having success, so that's why he had an early exit out of Nebraska. The Kentucky Wildcats got a big victory against the Florida Gators. That was a nice big victory. And BYU got a nice big victory against Baylor into overtime. And Oregon State beat Fresno State, kind of, And then also another upset that we haven't got to talk about here was Washington State upset Wisconsin. Wisconsin's field goal kicker missed a field goal, I guess, to tie it or to win the game. I mean, a lot of upsets were made. Not too many big. And the biggest one was almost Texas beating Alabama. That was the bigger thing. I mean, there was some kind of bad calls, bad penalties, and this and that, but still Texas had a chance to. I mean, much like the Broncos last night, had chances to win, but when you don't get touchdowns and you're exchanging field goals for touchdowns, and you're hoping to get stops and you don't get stops, and then you have to go down the field, and it's not really plausible or profitable, to be honest with you. So we had some good exciting college football games, to say the least. So, and then week 1 of the NFL, we had a lot of great games in the early window here. We had some surprises, obviously. I mean, in the early window, we had Baker Mayfield taking on the Browns, and that game was pretty close for a while, and then it ended up being close at the end, and then Baker couldn't get it done. But both teams looked pretty stout. I mean, Jacoby Brissett looked he looked like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. It's not my first rodeo being a backup quarterback here and having to step into the limelight and having to do So he's just, Jacoby Brissett just doing his thing, and Kareem Hunt, finding the end zone twice. Then you had also Nick Chubb had a pretty solid game as well. Their defense played okay, good enough to get the dub, but not. And then on the other side, Carolina. I mean, Christian McCaffrey looked very well, looked very healthy, didn't get injured, got into the end zone here. Baker, for the most part, didn't look terrible, but they probably could have did a lot better here. But it is week 1. Their defense, uh, kind of got gashed up a little bit here during the run game and this and that. So not too much terribly in the pass game. I mean, a couple good plays here and there, to say the least. But yeah, that was a very close, interesting game. You had the Falcons. The Falcons were playing good. They had the chance to knock off the Saints, but the Saints were able to come back, get a field goal at the end, and then uh, Young Hoku had a chance to kick a 63-yarder to win the game for Atlanta, but When you're kicking a 63-yard field goal like that, it's going to be low, and you're going to be low. And so, if you're going to be low, obviously the trajectory, more likelihood that the ball is going to get blocked. So the Saints came back. Michael Thomas got 2 touchdowns in that game. The resurgence of Michael Thomas, who I believe is going to be comeback player of the year. Mark my words. Mark my words. I believe he had 2 touchdowns in his first game back. Last year didn't really play at all. So he's looking really well this year, and him and Jameson got a good, nice little rapport going together. I mean, obviously, they got the hard-fought victory, but that is minuscule. I mean, they got this victory here, but now they got to go down to Tampa Bay and face Tom, which basically they took care of business here on Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys, the Buccaneers. They did. I mean, not so much touchdowns necessarily. The Cowboys defense did play somewhat well, but the bigger news for Dallas is Dak Prescott in that game. When he was going back, he hit his helmet, kind of basically like a Russell Wilson, what Russell Wilson did, and so now his thumb. He had surgery on it. Now he's supposed to be out anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks here. So, but in my case for the Cowboys is how is that going to come back after the injury? How's it gonna affect him throwing the ball, holding the ball, getting the grips? Is it gonna be is his mind not gonna be there? Is it gonna be just more focused on, okay, I gotta make sure my thumb, I'm not on my right thumb. I don't want. I mean, it's gonna remain to see. And I mean, Cincinnati obviously is coming into town to face the Cowboys. They also lost a heartbreaker at home in overtime against the Steelers. Uh, reports were that Joe Burrow sat at his locker, didn't take off the jersey, had the pads and everything on, and just sat in his locker and just didn't leave. Didn't leave the stadium. Everybody else went home, and Joe Burrow sat there. Now, if that's anything to tell you the insight on who Joe Burrow is, Joe Burrow is personally taking that game like it was his fault. Much kind of like the Super Bowl. And I think this week coming up, it's going to be dangerous. I think the Bengals are going to do what Mahomes did to the Cardinals on Sunday afternoon, and just really they're going to go into Dallas and they're going to. I mean, will Dallas play tough so much? Yeah, they got Micah Parsons, and but I don't know. I mean, the Bengals are becoming in motivated, and Dallas now the receiving core is already depleted. Now you're down to Cooper Rush now, who's going to be the starting quarterback. So you're going to have a Cooper Rush versus Joe Burrow matchup. So I mean, whew. And speaking of that game, yeah, the Steelers won that game, but they lost two two key factors to their team here. One offensive player would be Najee with that foot injury, and also TJ Watt, who is, obviously one of the best defensive players in the NFL. I'd say probably next to probably Aaron Donald here. And he probably will surpass. And then obviously we got Shaquille Leonard here. And people are like, well, isn't that Darius Leonard? Well, Darius used to be called Shaquille as a child, so he legally changed it to Shaquille Leonard. And so speaking of that here, TJ Watt ended up he ended up tackling Burrow and kind of going like this and landed weird and kind of torn the pec here, which is basically this. It's like basically like here. I think somewhere in here where you tore the muscle is like it's like the muscle here, the pec muscle. So he's he's supposed to be out for about 6 to 8 weeks here. Najee's looking pretty good. They're saying some early reports are saying that he might even be able to play this week coming up against the Patriots as the Steelers come home after a hard-fought victory against the you know in division rival Bengals. They got to go play New England Patriots, who played a pretty pretty decent game for the most part against Miami here. I'd say their defense played well. The offense has got to get it going here. Um, Mac 10 Mac Daddy Jones here. I mean they got to get something going on here. I mean he did get kind of banged up a little bit. X-rays were negative, so he on his back he took like a kind of a shot to his back in that game. So but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, and obviously Belichick got out Belichicked on a fourth down that led to a Tua to a Jalen Waddle touchdown on a fourth down, big crucial one that really basically sealed the deal because it was a seven. It was at that point it was a 7-13 ball game, and on that 4th and 7 when they got that touchdown to Waddle, it basically blew it open to 20, basically 20-7, and that was basically the end result and the end score. So can't say that the Patriots shit the bed too bad, but they gotta get something going offensively. They just didn't look. They looked just not very, like they were, besides Jacoby Myers out there. I mean, I think it was, not too well. The ground game did okay, but I don't think the ground game was that effective because they would have been able to keep drives, stabilize some drives and probably obviously had opportunities to score more points, but they didn't. Um, so yeah, I mean, we had the Colts going into the Houston Texans, and the Texans, got up early. They got up early and they dominated. They were up like I think the most they were up it was like 20-3, I believe, at one point. But the Colts came back. The Colts came back and they ended up, tying it up at 20. But then in overtime, one of the notes I will say is the tale of the kickers, man. The kicker woes continue here. There was probably like seven. I want to say 7 or 8. If you want to count Monday night, I'd say there's probably about 8 or 9. There's probably 8 or 9 misses between extra points misses, botch kicks out of bounds, just shanked kicks. It was not a very formidable week for kickers. Let's just say that here. I mean, there were some kickers that did well. Obviously, Cade York, the rookie, the Cleveland Browns select the fourth round, their kicker. He made the game-winning field goal kick with like a curve, looked like a wicked curve. He went and it went woo, and it kind of curved in. So, uh, you know, other than that, it was kind of a bad day for the for the kickers. And the 49ers, it was like a rainbow, a monsoon. There was flash flood warnings all through the city of Chicago. And when they started the game, it looked okay. It held up all right. But then towards the end of the game, it started getting a bit uglier again. So, but the Bears were able to come out on top here, winning it 19-10 here. And it wasn't the most prettiest victory. Obviously, the Bears really didn't do much of anything until that third. I would say towards the end of the third into the fourth quarter is when they really, started playing really well. They forced the pressure, and Eddie Jackson ended up getting an interception. I mean, it was just, Trey Lance is, he didn't do terrible, but they didn't have George Kittle. George Kittle's groin injury prevented him from playing. And so for the most part, the Niners didn't do bad. The whole, they're obviously going to play Seattle, who was 1-0. So obviously, Seattle's hyped off the victory last night by winning by a point, 17-16 over the Denver Broncos. And like I said, the Denver Broncos had 2 opportunities to score in the second half. Melvin in the Blue Notes, Gordon here fumbled. He was the first one to fumble. And then later on, it was Javonte Williams fumbling the ball at the 1-yard line. So it wasn't like teams didn't have opportunities to win games. I think a lot of these new coaches, like I said, what's his name? Mitch McDaniel with the Dolphins, he performed very well. Minnesota Vikings, we played really well against Green Bay. We held Aaron Rodgers into check. We held him under 200 yards. I mean, shit. I don't even remember the last fucking time we held Aaron Rodgers under 200 fucking yards. It's been a while. But we ended up winning 23-7. We did really well. Justin Jefferson balled out. Obviously, Adam Thielen didn't have a really great game. And Dalvin Cook had 20 carries for 90 yards. But at least we gave him 20 carries. Unlike Daniel Hackett, he just can't hack it, I guess. But what do you expect from a man that come from Green Bay that didn't really want to run the ball mainly when Aaron Jones and they had AJ Dillon? So now, do we expect a difference? Do we expect it to be any different here in Denver when you've got a solid runner in Javonte Williams and you got also premium runner in Melvin Gordon, but yet it boggles my mind that Javonte Williams has 11 had he had like more he had like what, 10 or 11 targets passing receiving, and he only had like 6 carries. He had under 7 carries, and this is supposed to be your workhorse back, and that's another reason why I think Denver lost too, is they just got away from the run and then just didn't put it in the hands of Russell Wilson, and then let 40 seconds go off because it just let time tick 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 tick. I don't know. You got fucking Russell Wilson, who's won Super Bowls and is an incredible, amazing quarterback and one of the best quarterbacks and make comebacks of all times in NFL history. But you just want to assume to kick a 64-yarder, which was all, to be fair. Brandon McManus almost had a chance, but he missed it the first time when they called the timeout. So at that point, I mean, they should have just been like, "Well, fuck it, dude. That's just huck and chuck the ball. Maybe Russ gets a maybe Russell Wilson gets some love. Maybe Russell Wilson gets some love out here and gets a Hail Mary to beat his old team, but." it, and much to be expected here. Russell Wilson did get booed, so I mean, he wasn't like, "Oh, hey, man." I mean, did we expect anything else? No. What else? We had the Jaguars and the Commanders. That was a that was kind of all right, interesting game, to say the least. I mean, the Jaguars kicker Riley, he missed a field goal, but Carson Wentz didn't look too bad. Excuse me, I had to take a drink there. But yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz, he had a pretty stellar performance, to say the least. A lot of people want to write him off and say that he's not that guy. But I mean, he obviously had, what was it, 5 touchdowns here. Let's go back and look at the stats here. We'll go back and look at the stats from week 1 here, and just give you guys, we're gonna get a preview of week 2 and as well, but we'll go back to week 1 here, and yeah, Carson Wentz was 27 of 41, so he attempted 41 passes. He had 313 yards passing. He had 4 touchdown passes in the game here, so. And then the late interception basically capped it off here. I mean, speaking of old guys here, Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco of all quarterbacks here, the old guy here. He was 37 of 59. He threw the ball almost 60 times for 307 yards and a touchdown. Now, if you're if you're out there fantasy waiver wire in the quarterback here, and you ended up having, you had a Joe Flacco. I mean, 59 times this man threw. They almost threw the ball 60 times. Michael Carter had 10 carries. and the Ravens ended up winning 24-9 anyways. And Lamar just did Lamar things. At the first quarter they didn't look so hot. They got a touchdown in the second, then they scored two in the third, and then it was just they didn't do much of anything in the fourth quarter at all. I mean, and then we had the Eagles. We had the Eagles and then the Lions. The Eagles, I mean, it was a pretty tightly contested game early, but then the Eagles kind of took over. But then the Lions stormed back and they came within eyelash of trying the game here with a game-winning field goal here, but they lost by 38 to 38-35 here, and which I picked in my picks. I picked the I picked it to be a high-scoring game as far as my parlay here. And no, I did not win this weekend. I lost because I took the under in the Browns and the Bengals. That was the only game that I had. I picked the Steelers on the money line. I mean, I had my Vikings. I had some overs. Obviously, the over in the Commanders game. Commanders and Jaguars. I had that over 40. I think it was like 44, 43. And went to 50. And the Eagles, I think the Eagles and the Lions was 49, and it went to 73 points actually. So yeah, and then the Giants game, we had the under 44, and it went. So the Giants got their first big victory against the Titans here on the road. They looked, Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 164 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, what can we say here? But that old Saquon had himself a game. And the Giants were down 13-0 at halftime. They scored no points, and they scored 21 unanswered points here. And the Titans scored that touchdown in the third here. That was the only score of their. So then obviously the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes was 30 for 39, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns. Ooh, Isaiah Pacheco had 12 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown here. That was definitely one of my fantasy sleepers. I think he definitely got a touchdown here. I mean, and I'll get into my fantasy as well. Like I said, Isaiah Pacheco, he was on the. I took Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. I mean, it was definitely those. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 9 receptions for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I mean, it was a beautiful day to be a Vikings fan and beating up the fucking Packers, man. Beating those Packers, and I mean, we needed that. And then we have the Chargers and the Raiders. It was a pretty tightly. At first it looked like it was going to be all out bloodbath here. It was tied at the end of the first 3-3, and then Chargers came out and hit 2 touchdowns in the second quarter here, put them up 17-3, and then the Raiders come storming back here, and they get 16. They get 16 points in the second half, but the Chargers ended up scoring in the third here. That basically was the difference here. Khalil Mack, he produced. He got 3 sacks on his old team that actually drafted him here. So, and then we had, obviously the Buccaneers and Tom Brady winning 19-3 here. Obviously, Fournette had 21 carries, 127 yards. Mike Evans, 5 receptions, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Tom Brady, 18 for 27, 212 yards, a touchdown. I mean, Tom Brady, he play well. I mean, speaking of the Raiders here, I mean, Devontae Adams had 10 receptions, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Carr was 22 for 37, uh, 295 yards, two touchdowns, but he also threw I think he also threw four picks too. That was a not so much a great game there. Matty Ice, we talk about the old guys here. Matty Ice was 32 of 50, 352 yards and a touchdown. So both old man Flacco and old man Matty Natural Ice both had over 300 yards. I mean, man, imagine if you got that in a parlay. Imagine if you got that in a parlay that Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco would throw for both of them would go over 300 yards. I mean, what a trip. What a trip. And then Michael Pittman Jr. here, 9 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. That was, spectacular, obviously. And you had, Jonathan Taylor, 31 carries, 161 yards, and a touchdown here. Jonathan Taylor, JTT Thomas, out here doing his thing here. Thomas the Train. You can't stop the rain. But wasn't good enough for them to get a win. Good enough for them to get to a tie. And like I said, Carson Wentz, 27-41, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, so. But I still can't believe that, Joe Flacco almost throws 60 times. I mean, Joe Burrow threw for 53 attempts. He had 338 yards, 2 touchdowns here. And, Jamar Chase had 10 receptions, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Trey Lance, let's see. Trey Lance, he was 13 to 28, 164 yards, and an INT. He had 13 carries and 54 yards rushing, so I mean it wasn't terrible. Like I said, the Niners basically were the only ones to put up a touchdown the first half, so it was 7-0. The Niners got a field goal, but then the Bears were able to get back in the game here with a Justin Fields touchdown to Deontay Pettis, who used to play for the 49ers, my ass, a wide receiver. And then Niners just couldn't do anything, and the Bears scored 2 touchdowns, but missed both extra points. We had Cordell Patterson, 22 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. We had Juice Jarvis Landry, seven receptions, 114 yards. Didn't get no touchdowns, but got a lot of yards. Jameis was 23 to 34, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Hurts 18 for 32, 243 yards. He had a touchdown rushing, but he did not have one pass. Well, yeah, he did. He had to have. No, it got called back. That was right. Yeah. So 18 for 32. I mean, that's I would say that was very good at all here. And so yeah. So I mean, obviously some good takeaways, some bad takeaways here. Obviously, And then Monday Night Football here, you had Russell Wilson threw the ball 42 times here, completed 29, and 340 yards passing, a touchdown here. Should have had a couple more, actually. Rashad Penny, 12 carries for 60 yards. Jerry Jeudy had 4 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. So that's kind of your stats here. Obviously, some big injuries. Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers. He's kind of, he's going to be out for a month or two here. And then how the Chargers offense changes without Keenan Allen. So I think Keenan Allen also got banged up during that game. And the big game coming up Thursday, the first Thursday night football game of the year will be the Chargers, those Los Angeles Chargers, going into the Kansas City Stadium here in the Chiefs Kingdom here, and taking on a red hot Patrick Mahomes. People thought, Mahomes isn't going to be anything. He's going to fall off. He's going to miss Tyreek Hill. He's just not going to be the same. All those people that said that, I mean, I know they're eating their words right now. They're eating the crow right now, because Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. Mahomes is Mahomes is that guy. I mean, obviously, if to me, if they lost, to me, in my opinion, if they lost Tyreek Hill and they lost kind of and they lost Kelsey, that kind of to me, him going to be losing Kelsey is going to be more of a hurt than what Tyreek Hill, because obviously you got guys now, you got some younger guys that can replicate what Tyreek Hill did. Obviously, he'll be sorely missed there, but you got Marvez Scouting, you got Hardman, who also got a I believe he got a touchdown, one of the 5 touchdown catches. And so, Kansas City's not missing a beat. And yeah, they lost the Honey Badger and they lost, but that defense is looking pretty good. I mean, we'll see this Thursday against the Chargers how well. We'll see if Justin Herbert can slice and dice. But it's going to be interesting because like I said, if Keenan Allen's hurt and he's not, and he's going to miss this game, that's gonna be really tough here. So that means Mike Williams is going to be we got Gerald Everett, you know Mr. Parham, Chicken Parm, Chicken Parham. That's what we call him in here in the Mutt here. He's getting more love on Mutt Ultimate Team on Madden than he is in real life. But that's needless to be said or not. But yeah, we didn't do so well in our parlays here. Let's go with let's go. We'll start with the NFL here. We'll start at it happened on 9/11. Obviously, we'll never forget 9/11. I will never forget 9/11. I was in I was in the service and I was at home on hometown recruiting, enjoying my day off hometown recruiting and enjoying some vacation before I went to my duty station out there in Germany. And yeah, I woke up that morning and I thought, I was like, what the fuck is this? Just Are they just showing some movie? Is this real? And then the ramifications now, looking 20, 22, 21 fucking years later, 20 fucking 1 years later, and are we more safer? Are we more better? Are we more this and that? No. And you can sit here and make all the excuses you want. You can listen to all the bullshit people that will tell you the fucking lies to your face. And that's what they are, bold-faced lies. These people are paid to lie to you. They're paid to fucking tell you what what you're supposed to hear. They're supposed to pat you on the ass and tell you everything's okay, this and that, even though it's not okay. But people don't want to hear me speak and don't want to hear me talk because they will just erase my channel and erase me from ever existing on YouTube. But that's fine because, like I said, I got other places where I can talk my talk and do my podcast and do this and that. I just choose to do it here to YouTube because they respectfully allow me to speak freely for the most part, you know, except for that one time where, you want to deem this and that, but you're not the judge. You're not my judge. You're not my jury. And you're damn sure not my fucking executioner. So with that being said, let's get into the parlay we took. We took the under 38.5 in that Niners Bears game. Good thing we did. It was only minus 120. It was minus 123, but we still like that. We had the over 43 points in the Jaguars Commanders. That obviously went over to 50. We had the over 48.5 in the Eagles and the Lions. That covered obviously with 73 points. Then we had the over 44 points in the Saints and the Falcons. That barely covered. We had the Vikings to cover to win by 2.5, so they had to win by 3. They actually won by 16. We had the Steelers on the money line. That was plus 250. And then we had the bet that killed us was the under 42 points in the Browns and Panthers. I should have known that it was going to go over. I would have won $300. So that's as far as we did as far as that's as far as what we did as far as NFL. College, on the other hand, we took the Texas plus the 21.5 on the spread was minus 124, but that's still covered here. I took the Army money line and they lost in overtime, kicked the field goal. Then the Roadrunners of San Antonio road running their ass to the touchdown. I had the team total under 65.5. The Wake Forest of Vandy that went over. I took Southern Alabama money line plus 187. They ended up going to Central Michigan and winning. And then obviously we had Dayton here. Dayton did not win. They got beat by Youngstown State pretty handily. And then Navy also lost here. So we lost 4 here. So we were 3-4 in our college bet here. We were a lot better. Week 1 of college, we did better week 1 in college than we did week 2. So obviously, we'll try to do better this week here as far as the college here. To try to pick you know some games and try to pick some upsets. Obviously, um, we have baseball going on right now here. Obviously, we have some baseball. We have baseball going on right now here. Let's go to the scores here. Give you scores, and then we'll run down the games that are. Okay, we're in the top of the 9th here. We have the Pirates are up 5-1 here. Obviously, they got 2 outs here. Pirates are up 6-1 now, so they got a run in here. They're playing a double hitter today. Pirates and the Reds, and also so are the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays here. So we got 2 double hitter baseball games here today for you in baseball. Pirates and game 1 here. Pirates are winning 6-1 over the Reds. Hunter Strickland is pitching against Michael Chavez, who's 2 for 4 with an RBI. I remember the double. And then we have the Rays going to the top of the 8th here. Rays lead the Blue Jays 4-0. All right. So then later on we have the Angels and the Guardians. We have Astros Tigers. We have Phillies Marlins. We have the Pirates and Reds game 2. We have the Orioles Nationals. We have the Rays Blue Jays game 2 from their doubleheader. We have the Cubs and we have the Mets. We have Yankees and Red Sox. We have the Royals and the Twins. We have the Brewers and Cardinals, the Athletics and the Rangers, the Rockies and the White Sox, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, the Padres, Mariners, and the Braves and Giants here. So obviously, some teams are battling it out for playoff spots. Obviously, if the Rays win today, them and the Blue Jays will be tied. So basically, game 2 will be a big. So game 2 is going to be, a big game here. If the Blue Jays don't come back and win here, and get some runs here in the 8th and the 9th here, last 2 innings here, because they'll both be 79. Well, actually, the Rays will actually have the lead here. So the Blue Jays would have to come back and beat the Rays to actually. They both would be tied. They both would be tied. So, bit of interesting baseball there. Obviously, the Guardians need to get a win against the Angels at home. Obviously, the Astros need to keep winning against the Tigers. Phillies need to get a win against the Marlins. The Orioles need to win against the Nationals here. Mets need to get a much-needed win at home. Yankees, the same. Yankees need to get a victory here. Slowly behind. And then you have the Cardinals and you have the Brewers. Cardinals are 8 games ahead of the Brewers right now, so they got a pretty sizable lead here. Athletics and Rangers. Rangers are 10 games, have 10 more wins than the A's do. The White Sox are 72-69, so interesting there. So they need to get a win. Obviously, the Dodgers need to keep winning here. 3 more wins, and the Dodgers will have 100 wins on the season. You got the Padres and you have the Mariners here. Obviously, 2 teams that are going to the playoffs. And then you have the Braves here trying to, continue to win here, but they got lost last night. Lost a close one here to the Giants here. So a lot of interesting baseball to, get it done here. All right, so we're going to the bottom of the 9th here. Pirates are up 6-1 here. And then we got 2 outs here. And we have David Peralta up to bat here. And then we go to the bottom of the eighth there here. So yeah, needless to say, I mean, our bets didn't do very well. But it was a very good first week of NFL football. I'll say that it was very, very intriguing as watching the games. College football, there was some, like I said, excitement because they had some, upsets. So that was really fun to watch. Um, Fantasy football, I did really well. The only team that I lost in was an ESPN league team, and that's because I kind of fucked myself there. I put a couple guys on my I switched a couple guys on my off my bench in, and they were starters, and I took them out and put them on the bench for these other guys, and the other guys didn't produce like I thought they were. So yeah, I took an L, but other than that, Yahoo, I ended up winning all three of mine, and NFL.com, I ended up winning all mine. So we're doing all right in our pick'ems here. Our survivor pick's still alive here. We picked the Chiefs, so we'll have to think about who we're going to take this week as far as our survivor pick. Yeah, I mean, I took Chiefs. I think that was just a no brainer here. That way, I just get it out of the way, and we'll pick. I think maybe this week's survivor pick might be I might be thinking about picking the Bengals over the Cowboys here, just because I don't know. I'm feeling just like I felt for the Chiefs and the Cardinals here. I just knew Mahomes was going to have a game, and I almost kind of felt the same way about Russ. I thought Russ was going to come in there, and he was going to, Russ was going to cook. He was going to be well, and for the most part, Russell Wilson did well. It just, the defense didn't help him out. Couldn't get to Geno Smith and couldn't, really get him on pressure and force some turnovers, and just, those fumbles were really the ones that get him in, killed it, and just play calling too as well. I'd say so and then some teams just couldn't block this week. This week was either missed kicks, bad coaching decisions, bad blocking from or just some teams just didn't show up. And so we'll see in week two, the teams that shat the bed in week one, will they come back and get their first victory, or will the losing continue? But that is what we got for you today here. We got this. So for me, I'm looking at right now. What I'm looking at here is I'm kind of looking at the under 8 for the Tigers and Astros game. Um, the Phillies and Marlins, I kind of want to take the under 7, but I really want to take the Phillies. I think I'm going to take the Phillies tonight here. I think I'm going to get rid of that under 7, and I'm just going to and just take the Phillies here. Um, the Orioles and Nationals, I really kind of like the under 8.5. I think Orioles, but Orioles might put up some runs tonight, though. I mean, both teams are well rested here. Um, Cubs and Mets here. Obviously, they scored 7 runs last night here. I'm taking the over 7, but I don't know if I want to take the over 7 here. I kind of want to take the Mets to win by 2 runs, but I don't know. And that's tough. And I don't want to take the money line with minus 140 here. So maybe we'll just take the under 7 here. Maybe we take the under 7 here in this Cubs and the Mets here, because I like Grom. He's my man. Stayed away from the Yankees and the Red Sox here. Taking the under 8.5 here in this Twins and Royals, but I don't know. Maybe I should take the over 8.5. Maybe there'll be some runs here tonight here. But I don't know. I think 9 runs between the Royals and the Twins here. Seems to be quite a lot of runs. Um, I kind of want to see the 7.5 go under, but I took the Brewers money line here. And then I'm taking the Rangers money line minus 135 here. Or what I could do is take the under 8.5 runs here. Let's do that here. We'll take the under 8.5 runs here. I mean, there's a lot of that going on here. And that is it here. We didn't take anything else here. We're, that's all right. We're placing our bet here. All right. So our parlay here tonight. All right. Is Ken's parlay here. 9-13 here. Will be as such. The Phillies. Well, Phillies money line here. Plus 106 here. Then our second leg we'll have on here. We'll have the under 8.5. Team total under 8.5 runs. Orioles. Orioles and Nats. That's minus 105. And we take another team total under 8.5 here. Runs between the Royals and the Twins. I mean, they'll probably go over, but And then we have another team total, right? Going back to our unders because I'm like an undertaker. Oh no, this one is we got the Brewers here. We got Brewers money line here as well today, plus 152. We're taking the team total under 8 runs in this Astros Tigers game here. Minus 103. And we have the team total under 7 runs here. Under 7 runs there in the Cubs and the Mets. That's minus 128 here. And then we have the under 8.5 here. It's an Undertaker parlay here. It's an Undertaker par here. Under 8.5 runs in the A's and Rangers game here tonight here. And that's minus 109 here. All right, so we bet our dollar here like we always do. Cash out here. Cash out will be $127.07 here if our plays on the parlays cash out. So we'll run that one more time and then we'll get off here so I can eat some lunch here. We took Phillies money line. That was plus 106. We took the team total under 8.5 runs between the Orioles and the Nationals, minus 105. We took the team total under 8.5 runs in the Royals and Twins as well. That's minus 114. We took the Brewers money line. That's plus 152. We took the under 8 runs in the Astros and Tigers, minus 103. We took the team total under 7 runs in the Cubs and Mets. And we took the under 8.5 runs in the A's and Rangers. So that is my plays and my parlay for today, Tuesday, September 9th, the 13th. September is the 9th month, the 13th day, 2022. We're live here in California. making our bets, watching sports. And tomorrow we'll be back. We'll talk about fantasy sports tomorrow. We'll obviously have some matinee baseball. We'll go over some more injuries to figure out if anybody else is out, injured, more injuries to come about. Obviously, T. Higgins with the concussion. Obviously, Keenan Allen. I need to get more information on what type of injury does he have? What did he sustain? I mean, Chris Godwin has a hamstring injury, so there's a lot of injuries to be updated on. So usually the first injury report comes out here as of Wednesday, so we'll find out a lot more information. So as for Tuesday, hopefully our bets win on baseball here. We will just eat, grub out, and enjoy the rest of our day. Hope for the rest of you will do the same. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life. Only bring peace. Bring positivity. Don't allow negativity to affect your life. And if you have negativity, just let it. Just shake it off. Just shake it off. Okay. Just gotta shake it out. You just gotta. You can't let it just because once you let it fester and then lets it go and it turns into a whole different ball game. But other than that, take care of yourself, love yourself, and be better. Be better, not bitter. And we out this piece.